Lesson 97, Battle of Uhud. The Battle of Uhud. 1 year passed after the Battle of Badr. Quraysh's caravans were still in Dar an-Nadwa, with their huge profits amounting to 50,000 dinars. A dinar is a gold coin, about 4.25 grams. The remaining leaders of Quraysh gathered in Abu Sufyan's house and agreed to spend all their profits from the caravan to prepare for another battle against Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his companions. Quraysh prepared an army of 3,000 men, joined by men from other allied tribes like Banu al-Mustaliq and other allies. They went on their way taking singing girls, tambourines and wine. In the army also were Hind, the wife of Abu Sufyan, and 15 other women to encourage the fighters. Al-Abbas ibn Abdul Muttalib sent word to the Prophet, peace be upon him, about the advance of the Qurayshi army. The Prophet, peace be upon him, gathered his companions and asked them to give their advice about the new developments. The Prophet, peace be upon him, told them that they could stay in Al-Madinah and prepare to fight the approaching enemy. However, the majority of the companions favoured the idea of leaving the city to face the enemy outside. Therefore, on Friday the 15th of Shawwal, in the year 3 AH, the Prophet, peace be upon him, led the Friday prayer and delivered his speech encouraging the people to be steadfast and patient. He then went to his house and put on 2 forms of armour. He took a sword, slung his shield over his back, and went outside to meet the people with his armour. After seeing him in his armour, those who first suggested meeting the enemy outside Medina said, "We will follow what you first suggested, that we stay and wait to face the enemy in Al-Madinah." The Prophet, peace be upon him, replied, "It is not appropriate for a prophet to take off his armour once he has put it on, until Allah judges between him and his enemy." The Prophet, peace be upon him, then assigned the standards, paraded the army, and marched out with 1,000 men until they reached midway between Al-Madinah and Mount Uhud, a mountain north of Al-Madinah. At that point, Abdullah ibn Ubay ibn Salul, the leader of the hypocrites, broke away from the army with 300 followers. However, the believers' army still marched on. They arrived at the pass of Mount Uhud and camped there, keeping Mount Uhud to their back and facing towards Al-Madinah. Meanwhile, the disbelievers descended into the valley to reach the foot of Mount Uhud. This made it necessary for the Prophet, peace be upon him, to put 50 archers behind the believers' army at the back of the mountain. He ordered them firmly to stay there and not move. He then drew up his troops and made a speech giving encouragement and advice to his soldiers. In the beginning of the battle, a man came forward from the ranks of the disbelievers. As Zubayr ibn al-Awam faced him and put him to the sword. Ali ibn Abu Talib also killed the standard bearer of the disbelievers, whose name was Hamza Arta. Next, Abdurrahman ibn Abu Bakr came forward from the disbelievers' ranks, calling for someone to face him. At this point, Abu Bakr started to come forward to face his son, but the Prophet, peace be upon him, stopped him, saying, "We would like to keep your company, Abu Bakr. Do not go." Following this, each side launched an attack against the other. Quraysh's women played the drums and sang songs to encourage their men. The fight went on, and victory was going for the Muslims if only the archers stayed in their places. However, the archers left their posts to get the booty after they saw the disbelievers falling. This meant that now the rear of the Muslim army was open to the enemy. Seeing this, the disbelievers' horsemen, led by Khalid ibn al-Walid, who became a Muslim later on, attacked the rear of the Muslim army through the open passage left by the Muslim archers. A rumour went out that the Prophet, peace be upon him, had been killed. This weakened the morale of the Muslim army, and some Muslims began to lose hope. Then the Prophet's location was discovered, so the disbelievers delivered most of their assaults towards him. They showered him with stones. The Prophet, peace be upon him, fell and broke his tooth. His face and lips were wounded, and 2 rings from the metal chain strap of his helmet were embedded in his cheek. Abu Ubaidah ibn al-Jarrah pulled out those rings from the Prophet's cheek, and 2 of the Prophet's teeth were pulled out in the process. The disbelievers surrounded the Prophet trying to kill him, but 5 men from the Ansar encircled him. Others joined them until they drove the disbelievers away. Among the men who excelled in defending the Prophet, peace be upon him, were Sa'd ibn Abu Waqqas, Abdurrahman ibn Auf, Abu Talha al-Ansari, who used his hand as a shield to stop the sword attack on the Prophet, peace be upon him, and Abu Dujana, who leaned over the Prophet, peace be upon him, to shield him from arrows with his body. As a result, many arrows stuck to his back. After the disbelievers were pushed away from the Prophet, peace be upon him, Ka'ab ibn Malik al-Ansari saw him and exclaimed loudly, "Muslims, good news!" The Prophet, peace be upon him, then signalled him to be quiet. Then he, peace be upon him, walked between Sa'd ibn Abu Waqqas, Talha, Az-Zubair and others towards the mountain pass, where Fatima, his daughter, washed away the blood and attended to his wounds. At this point, Ubay ibn Khalaf came forward from the disbelievers' ranks and asked, "Where is Muhammad? I would rather die if he was still alive." Then the Prophet, peace be upon him, threw a spear at Ubay ibn Khalaf, causing him to fall off his horse. His neck was injured, and he died of his injury. No one except him was ever killed by the Prophet, peace be upon him, neither in this battle nor in any other. The Prophet, peace be upon him, wanted to climb a rock so as to see the disbelievers, but was not able to do so. Talha ibn Ubaidullah helped him to get up, where he saw a group of the disbelievers behind the mountain. The Prophet, peace be upon him, then said they should not be at a higher post than us. He sent Umar ibn al-Khattab with a group of Muslims to drive away them from the mountain. Abu Sufyan climbed up a hill and called out loudly, "We are now equal, for this day is for us in the same way that the day of Badr was for you. Glory be to Hubal." That's the name of an idol of Quraysh. The Prophet, peace be upon him, ordered Omar to answer him. Omar answered, "Allah is the highest and the most great. There is no equality at all between us. For those killed on our side will go to paradise, and those on your side will lie in hell." When Abu Sufyan heard Omar's voice, he said, "Come to me, Omar." The Prophet, peace be upon him, allowed Omar to go to Abu Sufyan. Then Abu Sufyan asked Omar, "Oh Omar, did we really kill Muhammad?" Omar replied, "No, you did not. He is listening to your words right now." Abu Sufyan then called out, "We shall meet again at Badr next year." He was answered by the Muslims after the Prophet's permission, "Yes, it is an appointment between us." After the disbelievers left, the Prophet, peace be upon him, searched for martyrs among the dead and ordered for their burial. He then returned to Al-Madinah in the middle of the month of Shawwal. There were 70 Muslim martyrs in this battle. There were 4 from Al-Muhajirin and the rest were from Al-Ansar. The disbelievers lost 22 men. Hind, the wife of Abu Sufyan, together with other women, walked amid the Muslim martyrs, mutilating them by cutting off their noses and ears and making them into necklaces. Abu Sufyan's wife sliced open Hamza's stomach and took out his liver in revenge for her family members that Hamza killed in the Battle of Badr. One night after arriving in Al-Madinah, the Prophet, peace be upon him, again ordered all who attended the Battle of Uhud to go out with him to see where the enemy was. When Abu Sufyan sensed this, he started to return with the disbelievers to face the Muslims. However, when he was informed that Muhammad, peace be upon him, had returned with all his companions, he became frightened and changed his mind, and he retreated back to Mecca. The Prophet, peace be upon him, stayed with his companions in Hamra al-Asad, which is a place on the way to Mecca, 8 miles from Al-Madinah. He stayed there for 3 nights, then came back to Al-Madinah after making sure that all the disbelievers had returned to Mecca. Abu Sufyan, however, did not fulfill his promise. He did not go out to Badr the next year. On the other hand, the Prophet, peace be upon him, did go to Badr but could not find anyone there. This encounter was named the second or minor Battle of Badr.